1981 Houston Rockets were one of basketball's Cinderella teams, an underdog who shocked the NBA by reaching the finals. The 1983 Philadelphia 76ers were a juggernaut, steamrolling through the league on their way to the title. Two vastly different teams with one thing in common: center Moses Malone. With his relentless play in the middle, Malone dominated the game like few others. And we'll have his story this week on Vintage NBA.
Yes, basketball has changed. It's always been a great game, but now it has a new spirit.
He dunks like Dr. J. He might be the new Iceman.
The modern day Wilt Chamberlain.
He looked like Magic Johnson.
The future has arrived. You are watching what greatness is all about.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Vintage NBA. I'm Charlie Stein. He was basketball's blue-collar superstar, and he built one of the greatest careers of all time. This week, the story of Moses Malone. Moses starred in the ABA and the NBA, and his highlight coming in 1983, when he helped lead the 76ers to the NBA title. 2 years later, a brash rookie arrived in Philadelphia, and it was Moses who took the young man under his wing. That player was Charles Barkley. Sir Charles, of course, now a broadcaster, and we caught him on the set at TNT. He's in the chair, a special wide-body variety, to talk about his mentor, Moses Malone.
Hold it up! Beautiful! Beautiful! What we're trying to do out there is demonstrate offensive rebounding.
Another dividend for Moses. Malone for the drop-in. Moses Malone with his specialty gets the rebound.
Tenacity on the part of Moses Malone.
Well, that's a lot of work for 2 points. Offensive rebounding is the hardest single phase of basketball. Moses Malone, in my opinion, is the greatest offensive rebounder that ever played the game.
Moses, the basketball player, is the hardest working guy I've ever met in my life. If you watch Moses play, he goes and gets the ball. He is just relentless.
Moses Malone, there he goes.
I would try to get right here because, like I said, if he hits the front rim, it's going to come here. If he hits the back rim, it's going to come over here.
And now, Moses, what goes through your mind?
Simply, I set the pick for him. Once he missed the shot, I just went to the boards.
Just go to the board, get the ball.
The most important thing is getting the ball. Hey, man, you can box out all night, but if you go get the ball, that's what rebounding is. He would miss his own shot so much and go up and get the rebound again. It got to the point, after a while, it was kind of comical.
That's my basketball, says Moses.
This is probably one of those shots where he missed his own shot and knew he could get the rebound. The first time I saw Moses, I heard somebody say, "Hey, fathead." Hey, fathead. And obviously, me being the key person I am, I didn't think they were talking about me. And I turned around and it's Moses.
Hey, guy, put the cap on his head. Tell him he hit for this head.
He is one of the greatest people to ever be around. I was really having a tough time my rookie year. Moses, being the great veteran he was, pulled me aside and told me that I wasn't working hard. He said if I want to be a really good player, he would put the time and effort in, get me in shape. Up until then, I had never worked hard. I just played the game strictly on talent. He taught me how to work hard.
Barkley trying to run it down, saves it back nicely and keeps it.
And he's from 17, misses short. Moses has the rebound. The outlet is from O'Teague. Maurice to Charles Barkley. Barkley to the hole.
Moses Malone is the best inside player in the game. I've learned a lot of things. And the main move he's helped me with is the drop step.
Charles, fouled by Malone and scored a goal.
And then going back to his mentor to say, did I do good?
Hey, let me tell you something, man. These blue jeans. These blue jeans right here. Let's see, how many 365 days in a year? He must have had these exact same blue jeans on 320 of those days. But Moses, man, he is just, I call him Dad, because he's by far and away the most influential person in my NBA career. He taught me how to be my own man. He just told me to be strong, be independent, and just try to be a warrior when I'm playing.
It's not only Charles who was influenced by Malone. When he played in Houston, Moses also gave advice to Clyde Drexler, who was then in college, and also Hakeem Olajuwon, helping Hakeem develop his now famous low-post moves. In later years, the Sixers brought Moses back to Philadelphia to work with their big men. Coming up, much more on the illustrious career of Moses Malone.
If you didn't absolutely face guard him, there was no chance. If you turned your head, you were going to lose sight of him, and he was going to get the offensive rebound.
He became a dominant force in the middle where you couldn't do anything with him.
New teammates call him Mo for short. The pros are amazed at his natural ability. They say that when he's through growing and when he learns the professional game, he will be unstoppable.
He's going to score against any team because he stays around the basket and he has great touch. And the best thing, as I mentioned before, is the offensive rebounds. He just has the knack of knowing where the ball is going to be, I think, and his long arms just help him reach over somebody like me as a forward.
After facing Moses Malone in the ABA, Bobby Jones later got the chance to team up with him on the 76ers. It was in Philadelphia where Moses had his greatest moment, winning the 1983 NBA title. He was also a 12-time All-Star and a 3-time MVP. And he did it all in steady, workmanlike fashion. There was nothing flashy about Moses Malone, but nobody ever played the game any harder as he battled in the trenches of basketball. The area beneath the backboards is the battleground of basketball, the place where games are often won or lost. For 21 years, Moses Malone made it his personal domain, ruling the paint with ferocity and determination.
Moses was relentless. I mean, he just never stopped. He went after everything.
I tell you, it's like being on a railroad track and a locomotive is coming at you, and there's no way you can stop it.
He wasn't the most skilled player. He was a guy who would be willing to throw up the worst kind of shot ever, knowing, though, that he could land and pounce. He was very much like a cat.
I think the Lord gave me this talent to be the best. That's why I think I will name Moses.
Malone grew up in Petersburg, Virginia, where he emerged as a high school sensation. In 1974, he became one of the first players to go directly from high school to the pros, signing with the ABA's Utah Stars.
I was at his press conference in New York City when he became a high school player, declaring he was skinny, and I mean really skinny. A guy you'd look at and you'd say, you know, no way, it's not going to happen.
When we signed him, I knew that he had great talent. I had no idea that he would be doing the things that he's doing right now. He is one of the quickest jumpers I've ever seen. He could be maybe the best offensive rebounder in the history of the game. He's very good at it now, and I'm sure in a year or two, when he's old enough to shave, he'll be excellent.
After 2 years in the ABA, Malone moved to the Houston Rockets of the NBA in 1976. And at the age of just 21, he quickly showed he would become a force in the league.
If you didn't absolutely face guard him, there was no chance. If you turned your head, you were going to lose sight of him, and he was going to get the offensive rebound.
He became a dominant force in the middle where you couldn't do anything with him. You could see that he became a man because he became physical and tough. Has a mean streak.
Malone's fierce playing style masked an inner shyness. His introverted demeanor made him a puzzling figure, perceived by many as being distant.
Moses was the kind of guy, you know, from a writer's standpoint, very, very difficult to get close to. Didn't speak that well. There were guys I remember that used to mock him.
When you come in and you're a shy kid, and then you get bombarded by the media every day, I mean, you can turn inward and say, you know, I'm just not going to get burned by this.
He had a very mysterious aura about him. I think it was a lot of insecurity because when you're out into the real world, out in society, you tend to function a little bit differently because this is an arena that you're really not sure about.
But it was on the court where Moses clearly felt most at ease, and he continued to develop into one of the game's best setters. In 1979, he was named the league's MVP, and 2 years later, he led the underdog Rockets all the way to the finals against the Boston Celtics.
Moses Malone had to work hard. Still can't get the ball to drop. Here he goes again, and he still can't. Malone pushes it in.
With Moses carrying them on his back, the Rockets took Boston to 6 games before coming up short. The following year, Malone was once again named MVP, but he could not lead Houston back to the finals. And in 1982, he was traded to Philadelphia. Instead of single-handedly carrying a team, he was now asked to be the missing piece of a championship puzzle.
Moses gonna take us to the promised land, the promised land, the promised land. Moses gonna take us to the promised land.
You just see the change in the whole team. They understood, they knew this is the man. And he was on a mission, and he had come to Philadelphia to get a ring.
Malone the rebound, up court, touchdown.
Julius baseline. Malone with the offensive rebound.
Is Malone strong or what? The more they push me, I feel like the stronger I get. And I get more aggressive, but then I know what I got to do.
Wait a minute, the more they push you, the stronger you get?
Oh yeah, I love to push.
His personality just came out, and, you know, it just made for great chemistry. We had great chemistry on our team.
Blocked by Malone. Here comes the fast-breaking Sixers.
Up they come Cheeks. Here's Irvin.
Malone, pass is good, foul.
He was so funny and animated, and he was a real character. But when it came time to win, I mean, nobody wanted to win more than Moses.
After leading the Sixers to the league's best record, Moses would not be denied in the playoffs. By proclaiming, "Foe, foe, foe," he boldly predicted a Philadelphia sweep in every round.
Moses gave our team the feeling that whoever we stepped on the court with, we had an advantage at the center position. We had the best center in basketball.
In the NBA Finals against the Lakers, Malone and the Sixers kept rolling. They dominated the defending champions in shockingly easy fashion, sweeping them in 4 straight games.
Cheeks on his way to the World Championship. The Moses slam dunk. Congratulate the world champion, Philadelphia 76ers.
How's it feel to get it in 4 straight, though?
Oh, man. That's the best.
After his championship season, Moses continued to be a dominant player for the next decade, playing for several other teams before retiring in 1995. Moses Malone was a model of durability and tenacity for more than 2 decades, his greatness withstanding the test of time.
He was blessed with a body that could hold up and take the punishment and endure it all for that number of games and minutes and years.
I think age is a number. I think it's come from the mind. You know, you let people tell you what you can't do, and then when you can't do it, you're going to have a big problem.
Moses Malone is a historical figure in basketball. He came in with such a passion. He came in with a level of pride that few players were ever able to match.
For all his greatness on the court, Moses wasn't the type to talk about himself all that much, and for that reason he says he was misunderstood. Malone said he was raised to protect his privacy. He didn't want a lot of attention, he just wanted his play to speak for itself. And it spoke volumes. But ironically, one of the things he's most remembered for is a statement, a bold prediction in the 1983 playoffs. We'll have more about that, but first break out your alligator shirts as we head back to Malone's first year in Philly, 1982. Moses Malone was a man of relatively few words. In fact, all it took was 3 words for him to inspire the 76ers. Now let's log on to NBA.com. And we go back to 1983 and find Malone's prediction. Foe, 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 meaning Philadelphia would sweep each playoff series in 4 games. Oh, they did manage to lose once to Milwaukee, so it wasn't entirely accurate, but it still deserves a place among history's most famous battle cries. Speaking of 76ers, Patrick Henry was the first governor of Virginia back in 1776. He was also one of the leaders of America's fight for independence, rallying his fellow colonists with the cry of "Give me liberty" or "Give me death." Thankfully, it turned out to be liberty, in large part due to the efforts of Paul Revere. In 1775, he made his famous midnight ride in Lexington, Massachusetts, warning that the British were coming, and he let everyone know the enemy troops were on their way. Teddy Roosevelt was one of our most colorful presidents, and his favorite motto was "Speak softly and carry a big stick." He applied it to his battles with the Republican machine and to his foreign policy as well. Teddy's cousin Franklin took over the White House in 1933 in the midst of the Great Depression. In his inaugural speech, FDR tried to comfort and inspire Americans by telling them the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. There's legendary Notre Dame coach Knute Rockne. His best player, George Gipp, on his deathbed told the coach, "Someday ask the boys to go out there and win one for the Gipper." That day came in 1928 as Knute passed the quote on to the team, and they upset Army. The noted philosopher Lawrence Peter Barra issued the cry, "It ain't over till it's over," even though you had to think about it. It made perfect sense. What didn't make as much sense was when Yogi said, "When you see a fork in the road, take it." But that's another story. In basketball, Dick Motta took a page out of Yogi's book in 1978. He fired up his underdog Washington Bullets by saying, "The opera ain't over till the fat lady sings." And she never did, not until the Bullets had captured their first NBA title. Which brings us back to Moses Malone and the 83 76ers, who went 12-1 in the playoffs. That one loss messed up Malone's prediction, so an amended version of it was engraved on the team's championship rings. Faux, fi, faux. Moses wasn't quite as confident 2 years earlier in the 81 playoffs, but his Rockets surprised everyone, as you're about to see next in the Airwave Archive. When he arrived in Houston, Moses Malone established himself as one of the NBA's best centers. But the Rockets continued to struggle for years, and it didn't seem as if 1981 would be any different. They barely snuck into the playoffs, and then they had to face Magic, Kareem, and the Lakers in the first round. But the Rockets had a surprise in store for the defending champs. From the Airwave Archive, it's Game 1 between Houston and L.A. The announcers, Gary Bender, Bill Russell, and Rick Barry.
Tonight, from the Forum in Los Angeles, it's Game 1 of a Western Conference miniseries. Tonight's game features Moses Malone, the NBA's most valuable player 2 years ago, and last season's MVP, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
This is what I would call confrontation basketball for the first time. You try to establish certain things during the season, but now this is outright confrontation.
Well, we said this last Sunday, Bill, that really the last team that Los Angeles wanted to play was Houston because of that guy in the middle, Moses Malone. And we're underway. Game number 1 of this mini-series. The Los Angeles Lakers, their first step in what they hope will be back-to-back World Championship seasons. Magic Johnson, Tom Henderson is on him. He's one of those men that Del Harris has started late in the year. Magic Johnson, and there's Moses Malone, the leading rebounder this year in the NBA, averaging almost 15 per game. And what a performer he is. He just has tremendous desire to get on the boards. Here is Tom Henderson, who played in 2 championship finals with the Washington Bullets. That's off the Magic.
You know what they say, though, about Moses, Bill, is that the reason he gets so many rebounds is he tries to get every rebound possible. And when you try that many, the percentages have to work in your favor. And a lot of guys really don't go after everything.
He studies it, doesn't he, Bill? Like you used to. Studies where those balls come off of the backboard. And here is Billy Pultz, the man known as Whopper. And he puts Houston on top, 2-0 in the early going. Pultz is the man who's come on late this year. He started the final 8 games after being on the bench in the early part of the campaign. Jim Jones. And Jones, who had 21 points Sunday in his final game of the regular season, adds the 2 points to the column.
I would think that Jim Jones has got to look to be offensive-minded to make Moses Malone work harder on the defensive end of the court, and that could take something out of his offense.
Robert Reed to Billy Pultz. Reed, who's been red hot in the late going. He's been averaging over 23 points a game the last 9. Here's Norm Nixon, who missed a couple of games this past week due to the passing away of his grandmother. And that's been a problem for this team, is getting all the component parts together. But Nixon hits that one. It's 4-2 Los Angeles. The Lakers this year at home have been very, very tough. 30 wins, only 11 setbacks. That's off of their pace of last year, which tied an NBA record when they won 37 at home. Mike Dunleavy into Moses Malone. And that's one thing, Bill, they talk about Moses. He's really added a jump shot this year.
And he fights, he works as hard as anyone in the league for position.
Norm Nixon, Reed at 6'8", will play both a guard and a forward. Tommy Henderson out of the University of Hawaii. Rejected, that'll be goaltending on Jim Jones. A most interesting view through sunglasses here. Boy, that really threw me a curve.
That's because the lenses were curved.
That's hey, that's Southern California. You just that's it right there. You just saw.
I know you, Bill. You fit in here very well.
Right.
8-6. Houston with a 2-point lead and a steal. Dunleavy, one of the most underrated players in this league. He had 48 points in a game earlier this year. Billy Paltz with Kareem on him. Off to Moses Malone. It's a long ways out, but he drops it anyway. And it's now 10-6 the Rockets. Moses Malone with 4 points. So Houston's come out here, and they started out like they've gotten the jitters out of the way in an early stage of the game. Kareem to Norm Nixon, and Darryl Garrettson spots something inside.
Number 24, Houston.
That's going to be Moses Malone picking up the foul away from the basketball.
That is the illegal 3-second defensive violation. Moses stayed in the 3-second lane, wasn't going out to guarding his man, trying to drop off, looking towards helping Kareem. You could see him complaining about it. As Darryl pointed out to me a few weeks back, he has never called a zone violation. It was an illegal 3-second.
Well, that is the technical, and that's the reason Norm Nixon is at the line. So that ends up being a 3-point trip down the floor, and the Rockets now on top, 10-9. Robert Reed at 6'8". Billy Paltz, who's been in 11 straight playoffs with different teams the last 2 years with the Houston Rockets. And there is Billy Paltz. Rebound, Moses Malone. He's horsing the boards. That basket will count, and he's been fouled. And you're going to see that all night long by number 24.
Unless the Lakers make a defensive adjustment.
And what would that be?
Screening out.
Well, here you see him making the move after he had gotten the rebound. Now he clears out a little bit with the left arm. He doesn't hit anybody, but the body contact was there by Jones beforehand. But Moses' effort was made prior to that to get position, and he is the best there is on the offensive board.
13-9. They called him the chairman of the boards. You can understand why. He was second in NBA rebounding last year. This year he captured first. Nixon down the middle, and he's fouled.
Chairman of the boards? That's very creative.
I got that from you, I think.
No, not from me.
No, you got that from that. Who was that? There's somebody at halftime that we're going to say. I think he said that.
Right.
Who was that guy?
Brent Musburger at halftime.
That's who it was.
This guy's going to pick on me now.
Where has he been?
I don't know.
Guy has been on hiatus or something.
Well, we're going to have him at halftime. He'll update on what happened last night in that Eastern Conference series, as well as have highlights of the Portland-Kansas City game, as that's game one in the Western Conference semifinals, and also an interesting insight on the story revolving around Los Angeles Rams quarterback Vince Ferragamo. 13-10, the Rockets by 3. Dunleavy. Oh.
Mike told me before the game that he is really shooting the ball, and he loves to play in this building, and there's one of the most underrated guards in the league. A lot of teams would love to have had him.
Dunleavy with 2 fouls, but coming back and picking up the 2 points. Kareem. I think Jabbar wanted that one. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar scoring his first 2 points. Well, there's a familiar face in the crowd, Walter Matthau. Norm Nixon averaging this year against Houston a little over 17 in the previous 5 games. They are concerned about the matchup problems on him because Houston doesn't have real quickness in their backcourt. Moses Malone. Boy, he makes that look easy. Jim Jones has his work cut out for him. 19-14, 9 points already for Malone, who was second in the NBA in scoring this year with a 27.8 average. Nixon, Dunleavy, picking him up. Magic trying to get away from Henderson, and does. But Reed intimidated him on the shot. And Billy Paltz doing a pretty good job on the boards right now. Tom Henderson. 2 years he played in the NBA Finals with the Washington Bullets. Dunleavy. Robert Reed. Magic Johnson with the rebound. Robert Reed hit a shooting slump at the middle of the season. Then he came on very strong down the stretch drive. Nixon missing. Kareem. Look at that.
Great body control by the big man. We've seen that so often. He just went around Paltz and finessed it into the basket that time. Here we see the last play where Kareem got that rebound. Now watch this move. He goes right around Malone, who came over. Now look at how he just finesses it and finger rolls it up into the basket.
So, to the surprise of Walter Matthau and everyone else at the Forum, the Rockets have jumped out to an early lead. But nobody expected that to last. After all, the Lakers were the champs, while the Rockets had a regular season record of 40-42. It was the worst mark of any team in the playoffs that year. We'll get back to the game in a moment, but first, this quiz on playoff trivia. Back in 1980, Houston sports fans had two exciting playoff teams to root for. Nolan Ryan and the Astros, plus Earl Campbell and the Oilers. The Rockets had yet to capture the city's attention, not even after making the playoffs in the spring of '81. But that began to change in their opening round series against the Lakers. The Rockets are still leading in Game 1 as we rejoin the action in the second quarter.
36-31, 9.5 minutes to go in this first quarter. Kareem getting ready to come back in. Level. Now Moses Malone hasn't handled the ball all that much in the second quarter. Now he's going to try a shot. They're going to get that ball to him as much as they can. 38-31. He already has 11 points in this game. High point man on the floor, Calvin Murphy. Murphy, who wears 7 pairs of socks, doesn't get that one. Landsberger with the rebound. Jim Jones. To Jamal Wilkes. And the Lakers are missing some shots they may not be able to afford to miss. Moses Malone. And it's going to be a foul on Jim Jones, who thought he had the blocked shot, but instead he picks up the personal foul. That's his first. He's upset about it too, obviously.
There's Moses, makes the move, gets around Cooper right there. Going for the block was Jim Jones. I don't know where the contact was. Did you see any on that one, Bill? Looked like he had the ball. I don't know, you're using your Ben Franklin spectacles on me here. Maybe you saw something I didn't.
No, I didn't see anything. Neither did the ref.
Well, maybe he was breathing out and the whistle blew. I don't know.
Jones is out. Kareem in. And Moses Malone makes it the biggest lead of this game, 40-31. And Malone has 13 points. And the crowd here in the Forum getting a little restless.
And they should very well be, as Paul Westhead and Pat Riley are also. The Rockets are playing good basketball.
Kareem push Moses back, misses a shot, and again, Los Angeles getting the shots they want, but they're not dropping for him now. This Houston team won 4 of their last 5 games, and they had to do every one of those, win every one to get into the playoff. Moses Malone again, and all of a sudden it's 42-31. 15 points for Moses Malone. Crowd very, very restless. Malone shooting extremely well. He's hit 6 of 8 from the field. Another miss, but Landsberger, he misses. And we have a loose ball foul coming up. Well, that's frustration for Los Angeles.
It really is. Here you see the battle between Malone and Kareem. Kareem throws the elbow. Definitely an offensive foul there. No call. Kareem up for the shot. Doesn't go. So a break for the Rockets. They went off and scored on that possession.
And Los Angeles finally gets it to drop. 42-33. Magic Johnson now with 6 points. His first points in the second quarter of play. Look at this score. Kansas City is still leading Portland. That is a shocker. That's being played in Portland. Moses Malone. Back to Calvin Murphy. Boy, does he arch that ball high. Beautiful technique by Calvin Murphy. 24-33.
I think Michael Cooper better stop helping out and start calling for help.
Isn't that something? At 5'9", a guy can play in the league like he does. Jamal Wilkes, Robert Reed commits the foul, trying to get position, but instead picks up the foul. Again at half, Brent Musburger will be with us. Highlights of last night's Eastern Conference game, as well as Kansas City, Portland. And Moses has hit 2 shots from there.
Has he missed a shot yet?
I don't think he has from outside.
He was 6 of 8 earlier.
He's hit everything from the outside, which really is interesting because he is not usually that good a shooter.
Well, he's improved this year, Rick. They talked about that's one asset of his game that he didn't have before.
Well, he had it before, but it was a little streaky, and obviously has gotten much more efficient with it. But it improved in the 2 years I was there. That's the one thing about Moses, Gary. He has continued to improve.
Alvin Murphy, 2:51 to go until halftime. Moses Malone back to Calvin. Michael Cooper on him, respecting his shooting. Moses Malone, and that's virtually unstoppable. Moses Malone having a brilliant first half with 19 points. Earlier this year, he had 36. His high for the year was 51. Pultz with a rebound. And again, Billy Pultz is really making it tough inside. 54-42. Dunleavy was checked back in after that last timeout. Nixon on him. Dunleavy, a man who was cut by Philadelphia, was going to law school at SMU, and they picked him up in Houston. Look at this. Dunleavy swipes it, and Malone scores it.
Just a great individual effort. He knew the ball was coming out. He saw a clear path and just took it away and sent Moses up for another 2 points. Moses going crazy here tonight.
It looked like they were going to make their move. LA got it down to 10. All of a sudden, it's 56-42. Malone, Kareem. Malone talking to Darryl Garrettson, a little upset about that play. You mentioned Malone. He has 21 points. Moses Malone with 21 of the 56 by the Houston Rockets. Houston winning here the last time they played on February 20th. Billy Pultz using the glass. Billy Pultz, the old seedy veteran, the job he is doing. Averaging only 7 points for the year, but down the stretch he's played well. Warren Nixon, 58-46. Moses Malone walking very slowly. Malone, how many minutes will he play tonight? Alvin Murphy in trouble. Kareem with the rebound. Michael Cooper, the running game now starting to take shape. Norm Nixon with 2 back-to-back jumpers. 58-48, back to a 10-point lead with 54 seconds left in this first half. Kareem with 10 points, 11 rebounds in this game, but 21 by Moses Malone. He's the high man on the floor. Michael Cooper, Dunleavy on him. Cooper, rebound Jones. I wonder if Malone's getting a little tired. Here's Kareem. It's an 8-point game.
Well, at that time when they got the rebound, they should have held it for their last shot. There's only 23 seconds left in the quarter. Now Alvin Murphy with the ball. The Rockets a chance to score.
You see the time left. Malone is fouled. 4 seconds and Malone will be going to the line.
Now watch the rebound in the play. Here's the shot by Dunleavy. Now see, he comes right in. Nobody screens him off. He sees the ball bouncing off, comes in and just takes it right out of Jamal Wilkes' hands. Nice bounce speed to Malone. Malone takes it up, and that's his 20th and 21st points.
If you control the tempo of the game, your shooting percentage will go up 4 or 5% just on tempo.
Back to a 10-point lead. Brad Hollinan trying to get a shot off. It's swiped instead by Henderson. And this first half has come to a close. And the Houston Rockets in the Forum here in Los Angeles have a 60-50 halftime lead. Now we're going to send it to New York for Brent Musburger, a look at what's happening in the NBA.
All right, Gary, thank you very much. A dandy game in Portland right now. The Blazers lead Kansas City by just 2 points. Calvin Natt is at the free throw line. There's about a minute and a half to go in that game. We've got a lot of stories. The Jason Thompson trade to the Yankees up in the air tonight. Vince Ferragamo headed to the Canadian Football League. We're going to have all of those details. Plus, we'll be bringing you highlights not only of Kansas City, Portland. We'll take a look at the Knicks and the Bulls and also Indiana and Philadelphia after these messages.
Thanks, Brent. We'll be sure to check back with you for more on that Vince Ferragamo story. But we do have a final in now from Portland, and the Kings did manage to win it. Getting back to the '81 Rockets, they had 2 future NBA coaches on that team, Mike Dunleavy and Rudy Tomjanovich. The coach at the time was Del Harris, and with Moses Malone at center, Del's game plan was no secret.
Harris's strategy is simple. Get the ball to Malone, even if it takes a little while.
Basically, we're trying to go to Moses for the first 15 or 18 seconds on the clock, and then after that, anything that is open, you have the opportunity to go on your own.
People would joke that Moses would throw a shot up on the glass just to go get another rebound.
I think that he was passing the ball to himself. He wasn't really trying to make shots. He was just throwing the ball up so he could re-establish position.
He'd miss on purpose so he could go back and get a shot.
No, I don't try to miss a shot. People be saying that. I try to miss a shot. I be trying to put that ball in.
No matter how he got them, Moses Malone piled up rebounds at a remarkable rate. He won 5 straight rebounding titles, the first coming in 1981. That year, he also finished second in the league in scoring. But it was in the playoffs where he truly arrived in the national spotlight. Moses had been lighting up Kareem and the Lakers in Game 1 with 23 points in the first half. But could the Rockets hold on? They lead by 2 midway through the third quarter.
And it's a 2-point lead again for the Houston Rockets. And the intensity of this crowd really picking up. Very noisy now at the Forum. Moses Malone still looking for his first points of the second half. Robert Reed, who had 2 early, that was batted away, but Poultry covered and scored. They give him an assist on that.
An assist to whoever knocked the ball away from the Lakers.
15 points now for Billy Poltz, and the heady veteran is really contributing. Jones tries to follow the missed shot by Magic, and now Level will slow it down. Every time they climb within 2, the Rockets beat them back for a little bit. Kareem with 14 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists in this game. Here's Malone trying to get his first points. Blocked by Jones. Malone doesn't give up.
Well, that's very frustrating as a defensive player to work so hard, make a great play, and see the ball get back into the other man, the same man's hands, and then knock it into the basket on you.
Moses Malone has averaged almost 27 points a game in the series against Los Angeles this year. 4 All-Star games. Jamal Wilkes, look at the quickness of Wilkes. Wilkes cutting inside, he has 11 points, 79-75. 3.5 to go, third quarter. Again, if you just joined us, Kansas City in overtime, defeating Portland in Portland, 98-97. Brett Musburger will have highlights of that. Boy, what a start of that series. Level. Moses Malone is there, and he gets it. I have never seen a guy with such tenacity as Moses Malone.
He hits it. Well, I like the way he goes to the board. He gets all he needs is an arm in there, and he gets. That's all he needs.
Example, right?
Yes.
Boy, you can't coach that. That's called heart, isn't it, Bill?
Hard and hustle. It's very hard to screen him out too because it's so active. Because first of all, you're trying to keep him from getting the ball, and that gives him inside position on the offensive board. So it's real tough. You got a guy who's got a long night's work to try and guard him.
Tell you what, the Rockets have done a heck of a job of fighting back the Lakers, who turned that momentum around, and they have swung it back in their favor again here with an 8-point lead.
You know what's interesting? We may have a trend right now. Portland lost at home in their first game. New York lost at home in the first game. Thus far, Philadelphia is the only home team that's won Game 1 of a 3-game series. Right now, Houston trying to do the same thing to Los Angeles.
Well, what Houston's doing now, the momentum or the tempo is swung back in their control. They've done it the same way they got in the first half, and that's by controlling the boards, offensive and defensive boards. When they started getting 2 and 3 shots, that stopped the Lakers. It makes them more conscious of having.
Jamal Wilkes.
The Lakers are conscious of having to hit the boards, and they can't take off. What they like to do is be able to take off when the other team shoots. But if the Houston's going to hit the offensive boards, then the Lakers have to be more conscious, and that takes a step away from their fast break.
13 points for Jamal Wilkes. Moses Malone has 7 rebounds in this third quarter. Kareem stays with him. Rebound Reed. And now Magic Johnson with it. Here come the Lakers trying to run it. Broken up by Calvin Murphy. Murphy will head to the other end. Magic doubling back on defense. Malone. Look at this hustle by Malone.
Well, that play there was made by a good hustle on Calvin Murphy's part and a bad pass selection on the part of Magic Johnson. He had Norm Nixon open early. He chose not to throw it to him, and that hesitation cost them a 4-point swing possibly.
29 points for Moses Malone. And a foul going against number 5, Billy Poltz. Moses Malone with 29 points, 14 rebounds, 8 of them in this third quarter. There's Magic. Magic, you might recall, last Friday night had 7 stitches over his eye. He suffered the injury on his eyebrow in that Seattle game. He now catches a breather with 39 seconds to go in this third quarter. 85-79. Ooh, Calvin Murphy saves it. Cooper on him. Calvin Murphy, what a tough shot that was. That's unreal.
Calvin does that all the time. He's one of the best shooters, moving in the air, floating sometimes right and left and forward, and still being able to get it in the basket. I've seen it too often to be amazed by it.
Calvin Murphy upset, though, as he goes for the steal, commits a foul. But that was a remarkable shot by Murphy. There's Del Harris saying, hey, there's only 18 seconds. No foul now. Let's stay off of him. As it's 87-79. That sends Nixon to the line. Paul Westhead now is going to bring Jim Brewer in for the first time. Here he comes. Jim Brewer, the outstanding rebounder for this team, especially offensively. Jamal Wilkes will check out. Remember now, the Lakers, when they have trailed after 3 quarters of play this year, have won 5 and dropped 17 of those. And they're going to trail going into the 4th quarter here tonight. Last trip down the floor for the Houston Rockets. You see the time remaining in the 3rd quarter and a foul. Houston is throwing really some kind of challenge now in the face of this Los Angeles team who wants to repeat as world champion. And Malone puts it away, and that's going to end this 3rd quarter. And the Los Angeles Lakers, who at halftime trailed by 10, now trailed by 8 after 3 quarters.
The Rockets went on to win that game as Moses finished with 38 points. They won the series in 3 games and beat San Antonio and Kansas City in the following rounds to advance to the finals. The Cinderella story had an unhappy ending, though, as Houston lost to Larry Bird and the Celtics in 6 games. Moses Malone did get his title 2 years later with the Sixers. But is there anyone today who plays the game like Moses did? Well, that's some answers when we come back. You know, when you think of Moses Malone, one of the first words that comes to mind is relentless. Moses never stopped working, especially on the boards. He won 6 NBA rebounding titles and holds the league record for offensive rebounds in a season. Let's take a look now at some other players known for crashing the boards. Coming out of the gate is the Horse, Harry the Horse Gallatin. He was a rugged forward for the New York Knicks back in the 50s. 6 times he finished in the top 10 in rebounding, and it actually would have been more. But the NBA didn't start keeping rebounding stats until his 3rd season. Paul Silas, another tireless worker on the boards. He was a master of positioning and timing, and it helped him to become one of the top rebounders in NBA history, not to mention a 3-time NBA champion with the Celtics and the Sonics. How about Buck Williams, an all-star power forward who cleaned the glass for the Nets, Trail Blazers, and the Knicks. He helped Portland reach the NBA Finals in 1990 and 92, retired in 10th place on the NBA's all-time rebounding list. Of course, you can't leave out the Worm, Dennis Rodman. Underneath all the hair, dye, and tattoos was a hard-working forward who led the NBA in rebounding 7 straight times. He specialized in tipping the ball around until he could finally pull it in. Jason Williams, another great rebounder who did some of his best work on the offensive board. In fact, Jason said his teammates nicknamed him Flipper because he got the ball and kept bringing it back to them. And today, the league has a few other relentless rebounders.
Malik Rose, who is not very big, but the pursuit, the way he goes after rebounds, it's a thing that you can't teach.
Jahadi White. Rozier, probably the best I've seen, or at least one of them.
Rozier once again with the offensive board. You've got to put a body on him. You know he's active.
One guy, Charles Oakley.
Ben Wallace is a big-time rebounder.
A healthy Karl Malone is as dominant a force around the basket as any.
Malone is doing it all. He's a one-man wrecking crew right now.
His off-season workouts are tremendous, and it really is a role model for everybody else.
Danny Forson.
Del Negro running. Jamison can't finish, but Fortson does.
That's easy. Danny Forson, pound for pound, height for height, the best rebounder in the game of basketball.
Now, if you want to talk about your favorite rebounders or about Moses Malone, just drop us an email at nba.com. You'll find us in the TV programs section. Now, we've been pouring through your emails, including one from Al, who didn't say where he was from, but he did send us the following question. Who was known as Dr. Dunk in the 70s? Was it Darryl Dawkins? Please, I gotta know, he wrote. Well, Al, relax. It was Darryl Dawkins. We should also point out that Darrell Griffith of the Jazz was nicknamed Dr. Duncanstein. He got that nickname when he was in high school. Keep those emails coming, and we're coming right back. After playing for 9 teams in 2 leagues, Moses Malone finally retired in 1995. But he left behind an impressive body of work, finishing among the NBA's top 10 in points, rebounds, free throws made, and games played. All the numbers a testament not only to his talent, but to his work ethic. And when you look back at the greatest centers of all time, there are few who stand any taller than Moses Malone. That's it for this edition of Vintage NBA. I'm Charlie Steiner, and we'll see you again next week.
I had never been with anyone that big, that strong, that athletic, and that much God-given talent. And it was wrapped in a package of determination and the hardest working guy I'd ever been around.
I want to thank the Houston Rock organization. I want to thank the players from 76 to 82. Without them guys, I probably never made it. And I got some special thanks for the coaches from 76 to 82. They're the one that brought me here and made it real for y'all. Thank you.